Have you ever stopped to think about what does the Army mean in the Salvation Army? Well, in this episode, I'm going to tell you all about it. With more than a decade of selling real estate in and around the Winston Salem area, one thing that I've learned is we are blessed to be able to call this place home. This show is dedicated to showing off some of the incredible places and great people in this area. This is The Saunders Show. Hey everybody, it's Mark Saunders with Saunders Realty, and today I'm in the Center of Hope at the Salvation Army right here in downtown Winston-Salem. The Salvation Army has been servicing our community for over 111 years. When I say the Salvation Army, if the only thing you think about is the bell ringers and the collection buckets at Christmas time, I'm going to show you a lot more that they're doing each and every day in our community. I'm fortunate enough today to line up a time to speak with Major Stan Colbert of the Community Salvation Army to tell you just some of the things that they're doing for our community and for our neighbors. So today we're featuring some great organizations in Winston-Salem that you might not have heard about but are doing some wonderful things here in Forsyth County. So I'm here with Major Stan Colbert with the Salvation Army. So thanks for taking the time.
Oh, listen, thanks for being here. Welcome.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the Salvation Army and everything they're doing in our area.
Yeah, well, I have to take exception right from the very beginning. Everybody ought to know about the Salvation Army. Come on, we've been around for over 150 years. We've been doing a lot of things over those few decades.
When people hear the Salvation Army, they think of the bell ringing and the fundraising at Christmas. Yeah. But y'all are doing so many good projects here. So what's some of the things that y'all are doing?
Well, I tell you, Mark, we have a lot of programs right here, all for one single purpose, and that is to meet human need without discrimination. We have a couple of Boys and Girls Club. We are serving about 300 children every single day. We're sitting now in our Center of Hope, and it serves really two functions. It is a family residence. We are the only family residence in Forsyth County. We also have our social services. I'm telling you, last year, right here in this area, we had little over 45,000 nights of providing a shelter for folks, a bed to sleep. We served over 185,000 meals right here in this.
185,000.
185,000. It's staggering, isn't it? Yeah. And of course, Christmas times, that's the thing that absorbs us for about a whole fourth of the year. This last year, we provided Christmas for about 5,500 children in the greater Winston-Salem area, as we call it.
My firsthand experience with the Salvation Army, we do property management, and a couple years ago there was a fire at one of our properties, and within hours, Salvation Army was reaching out to the tenants to making sure they were taken care of and providing hope.
Well, that's what we're in the business of doing. We've been doing it for a long time. Back in England in 1865 in London, there was this itinerant kind of street preacher. His name was William Booth. So his idea was to just, turn these folks' lives around and get them back into the mainstream church. But what ended up happening, these people who were prostitutes and morphine addicts and criminals, pickpockets and things like that, the mainstream church didn't want those kind of people in their church. And so what ended up happening, this man, William Booth, had a congregation, but no church. He never intended to start anything. But out of that crazy beginning, developed into what was called the Christian mission. He was preparing for a revival service, and someone had written this poster, Reverend William Booth and his volunteer army. Well, he took out his pen and marked out the word volunteer and wrote the word salvation, and that's where it happened. And of course, you can't have soldiers in uniforms without officers, and so they started calling the ones who had some training or had some education, lieutenants and captains, and they made this Reverend William Booth the general, and that's the way it's been ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's a heck of a story. All the research and numbers are showing the actual homeless numbers are going down, but the number of families and all that are entering into homelessness are going up. Tell me a little bit about that and how you're serving and what you're seeing as that trend.
Here's the tragedy, Mark. In 2018, in the United States of America, the fastest growing demographic population of homelessness is children. So where the overall trend is having some success, homeless children, family units, that number is increasing. When you have children, you have this added component of their safety. You have the added component of education. You have this added component of all those things of a child that you may not have with an adult. And so the challenges are great.
What we do here is we put lives back together. I always tell our residents, you're only here because your children are homeless, but they come with parents. So when they come with parents, it's very important that we put the lives back together so our children can have stability.
So you're looking at the big picture, not serving the immediate need, but what's the whole picture?
Right. How can we get you to leave here and still be able to provide for your children, be able to provide for yourself, make you feel whole again? A lot of times when you deal with homelessness, you're dealing with either poor budgeting, not enough pay, so not working for a living wage, or maybe it's something where someone is underemployed. So how can we readdress that? Do you need additional education? Do you need a job skill? Whatever that is, the community, especially here in Winston-Salem, is prepared to provide that. What we have to do is get people to use those resources. So we don't reinvent the wheel, we show you how to use the wheel.
One thing that I've heard talking to a couple people about the resources in our community really does a good job at trying to help people. Somebody mentioned earlier that 2 to 3 times a month local restaurants actually provide food here and everything.
They do it here. Every month we have a restaurant that caters a meal here at the Center of Hope, which is really cool because it also exposes our residents to other opportunities for jobs. They have the opportunity to speak with the chef and or the serving crew to find out what exactly did you do to get this position, or what did you do to open a restaurant.
Well, thanks for talking with us. Sounds like you're doing great work.
You need to come back.
You're doing great work. Keep it up. How many beds do you have here, and how many do you serve on a nightly basis on that part of it?
Any given night, we average about 45 homeless children with parents here. Yeah. Let me tell you, Mark, when people end up at the Salvation Army, they have exhausted all their options. Their family may have turned their back on them. Their job is not there. They don't have a home, and perhaps their cars is not. So when they end up here, they've exhausted all other possibilities. It is a joy and it is an honor to be able to do this kind of work in this community.
Where do you see the Salvation Army in this area in the next 5 to 10 years?
What needs to happen is the Salvation Army needs to be put out of business. You understand that the only way that the Salvation Army and all the other incredible charitable organizations in this town or anywhere, the only way we're entirely successful is to be put out of business. But there is no need to feed people because they can't feed themselves. No need to put clothes on their back because they can't provide for themselves. No need to pay their rent. No need to pay their utilities. No need to put them up at night because they have no place to stay. Now, wouldn't that be incredible? Yeah. I mean, that's not exactly, how you hear things. Wow, we succeeded, we're closing the doors. Yeah. Unfortunately, in the next 5-10 years, we're just going to see that the need continues to grow.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having us in.
Mark, listen,
I tell you, one of the most, you love what you do, don't you?
I do love
one of the most passionate people that I have ever met. Yeah. So thanks for taking the time, meeting with us, showing us around this place. Y'all are doing some great work.
Thanks
so keep up what you're doing.
I appreciate you coming. Now come by anytime.
So that's the Salvation Army Center of Hope right here in Winston-Salem. I want to thank everybody here at the Salvation Army for allowing us to come through and hear these stories. And I also want to thank all the volunteers that donate their time and resources to make this place what it is today. If you'd like to contribute to the Salvation Army, visit salvationarmyws.org to learn more. If you know of an organization or a group that's doing great works in our community, we want to know about it. So visit srealtynow.com/The Saunders Show to tell us about it. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. If you're viewing this show on our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button below, or you can visit our website at srealtynow.com. This is Mark Saunders, and I'll see you next time.